there. What we're looking at today is finding the axis and symmetry and vertex of a quadratic function that's written in standard form. Standard form of a quadratic looks like this. A is just some number, B is just some number, C is just some number. So number x squared plus number x plus number. When you have an equation written in that format, you can find the axis of symmetry using this formula. And from there, that's also the x-coordinate of your vertex. Let me pause there for a second and kind of draw you a picture of what I'm talking about. So, quadratic functions, when you graph them, give you parabolas, which are just U-shapes like both of those I have drawn. The vertex is the very center point of that parabola. It's either at the very top or very bottom, depending on which way your parabola is facing. And then your axis of symmetry is the imaginary vertical line that runs through that, splits that parabola perfectly in mirror image halves. We eventually are going to graph, but for today, we are just focusing on finding this particular point and this particular imaginary line, which will help us graph later. Also, axis of symmetry is kind of a mouthful, so I abbreviate with AOS, just so you know. When we use our AOS formula, we need to use A and B from our equation. So whatever number is in this A place, whatever number is in this B place. So finding our axis symmetry, which is an x value, is our first step. Let's try it out with this first example so we can kind of see this in context. So to find my AOS, it's going to be x equals negative b over 2 times a. In this particular problem, the number in front of x squared is negative 2, so negative 2 is a. The number in front of regular x is 16, so 16 is b. So plugging that into my formula, it's going to always be negative whatever you have for b up top over 2 times whatever your a is on the bottom. That's how the formula works. Since b is 16, it's going to look like a negative 16 once you factor in that negative, over 2 times a, which is negative 2. From here, we're going to simplify this fraction. 2 times negative 2 is negative 4. Negative 16 divided by negative 4 is positive 4. So our AOS is x equals 4, meaning for this particular parabola, when we graph it, our axis of symmetry would go through x equals 4. We're part of the way done with what we want to do. The other thing we want to do is we want to find our vertex. Our vertex is an ordered pair. It's an x, y situation. The x is that x coordinate we just found. To find the y coordinate of our vertex, we're going to plug our axis of symmetry number in for all of our x's in our original equation. So since my AOS is 4, I'm going to plug in 4 here and here. So negative 2, 4 instead of x squared, plus 16, 4 instead of x, minus 31. If you're using a calculator like Desmos or pretty much any other calculator, maybe not so much your phone calculator that's built in because you can't do multiple steps in there very well, but if you're using a calculator like Desmos, you can type all of this in at once and it'll spit out your answer for you. For today, I'm going to show working things by hand, but feel free to use a calculator when you're doing things on your own. So to simplify this, I'm going to take care of my exponent. 4 squared is 16. I'm going to do my multiplying here. 16 times 4 is 64, minus 31. Negative 2 times 16 is negative 32. Everything else stays the same. And I'm going to do all my adding at once. Negative 32 plus 64 is positive 32. Minus 31 is 1. We're almost done. I just need to write my vertex as an ordered pair. So to finish that off, my vertex is my x-coordinate, which was 4, the x-coordinate we found before, and this y-coordinate I just found, which is negative 1. Or sorry, positive 1. I wrote the right thing, said the wrong thing. Sorry. Let's continue on. Let's do a few more of these just to make sure we really got it. So, start by finding your axis of symmetry. I like to write the formula every time. You don't have to. It just makes my brain happy. I also like to go ahead and put a negative on the top and a 2 in the denominator so I don't forget either of those things. In this problem, I don't see a number in front of x squared, but when you have just a variable, that's the same as having a 1 in front of that variable. So if you want to help yourself out, you can write a 1 in front. My a is a hidden 1. My b is a negative 6. So plugging things in, I'm going to have negative, because I have a negative as part of my formula. Negative 6 is b over 2 times 1. Simplifying that as much as we can. Negative 6 is the same as positive 6. 2 times 1 is 2. 6 divided by 2 is 3. So my axis of symmetry is x equals 3. Also, as a friendly reminder, depending on the calculator you're using, if you're using Desmos, you can type things in exactly like this as long as you know how to enter in a fraction in Desmos. If you're using a regular calculator, you're going to make sure you do your simplifying on the bottom first and then divide, kind of like I've shown you here. Just a side note. We're kind of halfway there. We have x. We need to find y. The way we find y is we plug x back into our original equation. So that 1 was kind of just to help me out. I'm not going to rewrite it. You could, but it'll just kind of give you more stuff to write. So I'm going to skip it. You don't need it. It was just to help us with the formula. So 3 goes in for x squared minus 6. 3 goes in for x. Notice I'm using parentheses there. Plus 10. Feel free to throw that all in a calculator at once if you have a calculator that'll do that for you. Desmos is a good one. Let's do this simplifying here. 3 squared is 9. 6 times 3 is 18. Negative because there was a minus in front of it. Plus 10. I'm going to do all my adding at once. 9 minus 18 is negative 9. Plus 10 is 1. So we got 1 again. That's just a coincidence, not a big deal. We're almost done. Now we just need to write our ordered pair. My ordered pair is my x, which was 3, my y, which is 1. We'll do 2 more just to make sure we really got it. Just because there's a few steps here that might trip a few people up. Just 1 second while I do some writing. Okay. Let's start with our axis of symmetry. I'm going to write my formula just so I don't forget it. I'm going to go ahead and put a negative on top and a 2 on the bottom so I don't forget those either. In this equation, a, the number in front of x squared, is 2. B, the number in front of regular x, is 16. On top is negative b, so negative 16. And the denominator is 2 times a, so 2 times 2. Let's keep simplifying. Nothing to really do up top. 2 times 2 is 4. Negative 16 divided by 4 is negative 4. So that's my AOS this time. You can get a negative AOS, not a big deal. Now that we have x, we're going to plug it into my equation here to find y. So 2, negative 4 goes in for x here. Is also going to go in for x here. And that stays the same. Again, calculator this up if you want to, or do things by hand. Whatever gets you the right number is what I want you to do. If you're doing things by hand, be really careful. Negative 4 times negative 4. Negative times negative is positive. 4 times 4 is 16. A lot of people will come up with negative 16. If you're using a calculator, make sure you're using parentheses like I have here. 16 times negative 4 is negative 64. And then we have plus 30. 2 times 16 is 32. And then I'm going to do all my adding at once, but I'll walk you through. 32 minus 64 is negative 32, plus 30 is negative 2. So ordered pair, negative 4 for x, negative 2 for y. As you're working through problems on your own, if you end up with really large numbers for either x or y, chances are something happened with one of your signs, probably back here. So you should get some relatively small numbers for x and y. If you're getting like double-digit numbers, something's gone wrong somewhere. For the ones I'm going to give you. They could theoretically be possible, but I'm not going to have you do anything too crazy. All right, last one. Start with our AOS. I'm going to set myself up for that too. This time, b, the number in front of x, is 2. A, the number in front of x squared. Negative x squared is the same as negative 1x squared. So feel free to write in that 1 if that helps you. Plugging things in. 2 goes up top, so it's going to be negative 2 because it's negative b. And then denominator is going to be 2 times a, which is negative 1. Simplify, simplify. 2 times negative 1 is negative 2. Negative 2 divided by negative 2 is positive 1. So my AOS is x equals 1. Excuse me. To find my vertex, positive 1 is going to go in for both x's. Y coordinate, my vertex rather. I have negative, if you want to write the 1 here, cool, go for it. But importantly, parentheses around 1 squared plus 2 parentheses 1, because we're plugging that x in, minus 4. Carefully squaring here, 1 times 1 is 1, but we're going to make it negative because there's a negative sign in front, so we end up with negative 1. 2 times 1 is 2, minus 4. When I add these together, negative 1 plus 2 is positive 2, minus 4 is negative 3. So last finishing touch, ordered pair, x is 1, y is negative 3. We'll build on this more in the future, but that's it for today. Hope you have a great day.